This week we're going to be talking about the environment, how climate change affects the planet, as well as the effects the COVID-19 pandemic has had on the environment, and little things that you can do just to help. So obviously a big issue is the oceans and the rubbish that ends up, or the litter that ends up in the ocean. There's estimated to be over 5 trillion pieces of plastic currently in the ocean, and that's just litter. That's not talking about like fishing nets or whatever. And so one of the largest of those is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And there's a company called the Ocean Cleanup, or a non-profit, and as far as I'm aware, they're a non-profit. At least they might not be, but they do amazing work. They're clearing up the ocean, and they use tidal waves and stuff to sort of do all the tidying. So they use the least amount of energy possible. It's the most efficient way. It's really good. Definitely worth reading into. They I think they're currently releasing products made of like plastic litter that they've collected. Yeah, so it's really good.
So I wanted to say how every day approximately 8 million pieces of plastic pollution find their way into the oceans, and there is actually 5.25 trillion macro and microplastic pieces floating in the open ocean.
Well, when you I'm sure you've heard about there's that beach in California where it's all glass litter has made a beach.
Mm-hmm.
So if you imagine if that happens to glass, and obviously it gets broken up into small bits, imagine all of the, say if there was, what's something that's quite solid, say a bucket got thrown into the ocean, it will get, beaten around by the currents and whatever, and it'll break apart into really, really small bits, and that's the kind of thing that if you eat fish, you could end up eating.
Yeah, actually there is a documentary on Sky Documentaries, I completely forgot the name, but we'll mention it somewhere. And how like the River Nile, no fish in the River Nile doesn't have plastic in them. I also wanted to say that all those rubbish statistics that I mentioned, it weighs up to 269,000 tons. So, like Patrick said, that there's the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, and it's located between Hawaii and California. And I mean, for the fact that there is a Great Pacific Garbage Patch, that is horrendous. Like, what influence do humans have on the Earth?
Like
do you know what I mean?
If you were looking at the solar system, there was a planet that was just purely rubbish.
Yeah,
it's bizarre,
exactly.
isn't it?
Precisely.
And so talking about the oceans, a big issue is cigarette filters.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously most people just throw it and don't really think about it. And I don't know if this is 100% right, but I know when I researched this last year, this was the case. 2/3 of all cigarettes smoked, the filters end up in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So 70% of all seabirds that are found dead have cigarette filters in them, and 30% of all sea turtles that are found have cigarettes in them. And it has, since 1986, 60 million cigarette butts have been collected from the beaches. So imagine that's the stuff that doesn't get into the ocean. Think about how many do if there's 60 million just on the beach alone.
Exactly. With that rubbish in the ocean...
sorry, just go back. And that's from one charity that does beach cleanup.
Exactly.
That's the Ocean Conservancy.
That's their statistics.
What's it called? Ocean Conservancy. So that's one singular group that have done that. So if you imagine all the other people that have gone out and picked up rubbish, like the other day I was picking up rubbish in the common near us, because I went back to, obviously with the pandemic and stuff, I've been sort of talking to old people that I used to hang out with and whatnot, and me and a friend met up where we used to always meet it's like a forest near us, and it was just disgusting. So I went back with one bin bag the next day thinking that would be enough, and this isn't a very big area. It's no bigger than your standard house, It's no bigger than that, and it was 3 bin bags full of stuff that I collected just from this really small area. So I'm going to try and go up at least once a week now and do it, because it's just... Yeah. I'm literally going to try and clear this thing by myself, because it's ridiculous. But to be fair, what was actually... I did want to mention this. It was really nice and heartwarming. So there was a random man stood there. He barely even spoke English. And he just helped out.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, it was good to see. Like, he, again, like I said, he could barely even talk to me, but he was still
helping,
you know,
yeah.
helping and being supportive. And I just, yeah, that's a nice
It's
a
something
nice
so
thing.
simple that we can do together. Like, it doesn't matter who we are, you know. It's just being mindful of your surroundings, really. So I want to talk about brands that help with fighting for change for the environment. And my two biggest brands, at least to me, are 4Ocean. They are a business who focuses on cleaning up the oceans. When their founders decided that because their founders always grew up around the ocean, and they went surfing once and they saw just how much rubbish was on this beach that they were on, and in the ocean they they were so, you know, horrified by it, and they created the 4Ocean bracelet and pledged to pull a pound of trash from the ocean with each one purchased. And I bought one that now they do. What they do is they use the profits to scale the cleanup organizations. But if you buy specific bracelets, they actually donate to non-profits that help, say, that chosen animal. So I have the Save the Sea Turtles one, which is green, but you can have the normal 4Ocean blue one, but they do so many animals, you know, they do great white sharks, they do the coral reef, you know, everything that's endangered, all marine life that's endangered, they help. And they
Coral reef is something that I've always found quite scary because it's such a well-known, well, it used to be such a well-known thing, like, that everybody knew of, but now, like, if you speak to children nowadays, they don't know what the Great Barrier Reef is, and that's because it's dying, and that's terrifying.
I'm pretty sure it's actually dead, you know.
I don't know if I want to.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but yeah, 4Ocean are great. You pay, I think, $20 for a bracelet, and like I said, the profits from that go to cleaning up the ocean, a pound of trash. They go to that charity, that non-profit charity, to save whoever you want to save, you know. There's a monthly beaded or braided bracelet, sorry. But they also do like shopping bags, they do cups, they do straws and everything.
Bundles of all of it as well.
They everything is made using that. And you know, when I got my Save the Sea Turtles bracelet, it comes with a little pouch that is made from it's handmade, and it comes from all the trash that they've picked up. It's like a little woven bag. You get the bracelet inside, you get 2 stickers, which is a 4Ocean big sticker, also made with recycled plastic, and a little I've cleaned up a pound of trash, and you get like a little information card as to how your money's being used. So I got my bracelet from Soul Hippie, which is basically a reseller in the UK. It's £17, I think, and you get all of that. And actually my first one broke, and Soul Hippie were very happy to replace it, and that's another pound of trash, you know. So it's a really amazing brand, and I really think.
Well, I think it's nice that, like you said, you get the information stuff of it. It's quite you feel quite connected, don't you?
And it's all made from, say, you could see it this way, from the pound that you helped clean, you know. So like I said, the other company that I really like is Package Free. They were made by Lauren Singer. She is a zero waste guru or an influencer. You know, she's the girl with the jar because she has all her trash in this one mason jar. And she basically started a brand because she couldn't see where all these alternatives were. And their mission is to be able to access healthy and sustainable products that are safe for our homes and everybody easily. And she has 2 shops in New York, and I'm planning to go there. But no, she has definitely been one of the people that has inspired me to lower my plastic consumption, and I have been following her for 3 years now.
I think it is quite painful how difficult it is to, you know, like when it comes to things like this, or when it comes to animal testing and all those kind of things, because everybody wants to avoid it, but it's so difficult. Well, it's not even that difficult, right? But it takes more effort than it should.
And there is this misconception about how expensive everything is, because if you're starting like zero waste or a lower waste lifestyle, that's not to say that you should stop all of it, but be mindful in your purchases. Make something yourself. Do you really need it? So now we want to talk about the impact of COVID on pollution around the world. I would like to start with what happened at Bournemouth Beach last week on the 2 hottest days of the year. So there was so much rubbish left on the sea there. I will give you the exact tonnage. Yes, tonnage of rubbish left over the 2 days. But I want to say that most people don't think that the rubbish we leave on the seasides or on the beach is going to hurt the environment. First of all, it does, because it kills the wildlife that's there. You know, the seagulls can pick it up. I don't know. Do raccoons go to the beach?
Well, not
You know,
England, but...
no, but you know, there's dog walkers
You know,
that go there in the
actually,
morning.
You mentioned that. I found a chewed up bit of plastic with a dead mouse next to it in the common the other day.
Exactly. You know, and then currents mean that this rubbish is going to be taken back into the sea, and then that will travel and kill marine life, you know. I want to say that this is an effect of COVID because so many people went on the first day after the government had apparently relaxed lockdown rules in the UK. This was the 24th and 25th of June. So now I'm going to tell you, on the 25th of June, 41 tons of rubbish were left on the beach. And on the 24th, there was 8.8 tons. So in total, that's 49.8 tons of rubbish over 2 days. Most of it actually being NOS canisters.
I picked up so many of those.
Exactly. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous, the fact that humans have such little regard.
Just to put that into perspective. So how much was it, sorry?
Altogether?
49.8
tons.
So a Mini Cooper weighs 1.55 tons.
Exactly.
So that would be about 30 Mini Coopers, doing the maths on the top of my head, but...
Christ. Yeah, and that's too many, you know? Yeah. But it's just that I wanted to mention it as an impact of COVID because, you know, it's a negative impact.
And it's a shame though, because there were so many positives as well. Like you saw in Portsmouth, Southsea Beach, which isn't really such a beach. You know, when people say, "Oh, I'm going to the beach," in the south of England, they almost never mean Portsmouth. But in the beach on Portsmouth, there was seals spotted.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Which I've completely unheard of.
Yeah.
Completely.
Oh my god. Like Patrick said, there has been some, and as given an example, there's some positive, you know, impacts of COVID. You know, there was coal wasn't burnt in the UK for 2 months.
That's
and that
good.
Really gave a break. You know, China's air pollution took a break when they went on lockdown.
Did you see the before and after photos? It looked like a storm had cleared.
Exactly. And the thing is, that first week when China came off of lockdown, it went back and worse than before. Italy's canals.
Yeah, I've been to Venice, and the canals smell of shit. Like they literally smell of shit, and you couldn't even imagine like a living thing going through those canals when you see them. Because you picture it as, when someone says Venice, you picture it as this gorgeous,
and you go for canals, and that
blue water is not. It's quite disgusting water.
And it was within the first week of them going into lockdown.
The fact it changed that much, and that there was actual dolphins in that water, is just mind blowing. I don't think, because people were sharing it, but nobody really thought about it as much as they should.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No. But despite all of these positives, and you can say, oh, well, the earth doesn't need humans, it'll fix itself, and the fact that everyone's locked inside, there has been an overwhelming amount of pollution in terms of masks, gloves, all single-use PPE, and obviously that we're not saying that is, you know...
Yeah, we're not saying it's like the health workers are doing it or something.
Yeah, and we're not saying that it's bad either. I mean, it is bad, of course. I'm saying, like, it's needed. You know,
not the littering, but
not the littering, PPE. but the PPE.
Yeah, that is needed.
But the fact that people don't know how to properly bin it.
Well, and that's so dangerous as well, because if you think about it, if someone went and tidied up like 100 masks, how many of those were infected?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not just the environment at this
is,
point that you're putting at risk, it's the general public by littering that.
Exactly, and the thing is they're all going onto the beaches and no one's really clearing them up. But those fair few who risk getting infected, you know. So I would now like to move on climate change in general. You know, global warming is the ongoing rise of average temperatures on Earth and its climate system. That is the biggest, you know, aspect of climate change. The fact that these temperatures are rising ridiculously. I mean, what was it on the 25th? Was it something like 35 degrees in the UK?
It's not even just that though. You look at how dramatic the difference is in weather from day to day, and it's quite blatantly obvious that there's an issue. When I remember, because it was, what is this? Sorry, this is a bit of a sidetrack, but when Prince died, what's his song? Snow. Sometimes it snows in April, because when he died, it did snow in April, because he died in April, and everyone was like saying, oh, you know, it's magic, blah blah blah. But really, that's just climate change.
Exactly.
Burst your bubble, but that's what it is.
Precisely, and as nice as it is to think, you know, there's no words.
No, because
at certain times, you know.
I don't understand how you can be so ignorant not to see that even when we were kids, the weather was so much not better, because obviously we had shit weather as England.
But better than it is now.
It was so much better in terms of
I can't remember the last time it snowed here.
How dramatic it used to. It never used to be so dramatic like it is now. The weather.
For us to not be able to sit in a room.
Yeah,
because of how hot it is.
It's never been this uncomfortably hot in rooms.
No.
When we were younger.
No. So, whilst we're talking about climate change, I do want to talk about Greta Thunberg. And, you know, this girl was just trying to fight for what's right.
She's incredible, really. When you she's got autism and stuff. Like I've said, I work with people with autism. It's a very scary thing for people with autism to speak up, because obviously there is a whole view around autism, and it's quite often people with autism are viewed as less intelligent and that their voice doesn't mean as much and stuff. And the fact that she still stood up and spoke it really sort of impacted me, that she is, you know, she's a child and she's missing out on school, and she very clearly understands how important school is. She made that very evident.
But then there's people going, oh, well, if you're so upset about missing out on school, stop doing this. And it's like, no, because this is our futures. It's another thing about, and this is getting more political in terms of like Brexit and things, but things like the climate agreement and all of that. What I don't get why 16-year-olds aren't allowed to vote, because it is old conservative people voting for a future that they won't get to see.
It's just because obviously 16-year-olds aren't that well. It's difficult, isn't it? Because there are some 16-year-olds that, well, to be fair, there's some 18, 20-year-olds that I know that. But when I think of back when we were 16, I can say that a good 50% of those people I would not have wanted to vote.
No,
I must admit. So
but
it
at
is
the
a difficult.
same time,
it is their future as well.
Exactly.
So it's a very difficult conversation.
Yeah.
But then, again, you can say there's so many 18-year-olds that are just idiots.
Exactly.
There's so many 20-year-olds. There's so many 30-year-olds. There's so many 50. You can go on forever.
And I just do want to commend Greta, because no matter how much people made fun of her appearance, she's not stopping. And I love it.
I mean, I think as well to hear, you know, if you didn't see the video and you just heard her talk for the first time at one of her speeches, she's so passionate and so well spoken, so well articulated, that you wouldn't have really guessed it was a child.
No.
She is quite an amazing girl.
And she's so well educated on all of it, and people have like the audacity to go, well, you're just a child. All right, you wanted to speak about what you researched.
Basically, all you need to do to find this, it's not difficult. Google, go on YouTube, search like UK climate change. It will come up with a video.
Can I just say that most of this information that we might be talking about was literally just from a simple Google search.
Yeah.
Not hard, not in this day and age.
It's not like we're going and doing scientific research to find this out. We're literally just, very briefly looking at stuff.
And the point of this episode is to bring about that, I guess,
That
action
idea,
in you
yeah.
to do it yourself. See if we're not BSing.
Yeah. So it's to do with the UK's effect on climate change, and so it's a part of the, I think it's the United Kingdom government. It's one of their sort of, it's their export finance division.
Yep.
So on their website it says their mission is to ensure no viable UK export fails for lack of finance or insurance. So in other words, that means do more overseas so UK do good, in simple terms. And so the statistics for this place is they have put £1.74 billion into gas and oil in Brazil, and that project that they're paying or funding equates to about 17.2 million tons of CO2 per year being produced. And it's very, very bizarre because you will see videos produced by the current government saying how well we're doing on climate, renewable energy and whatnot in our country, yet they should be funding renewable energy because it's obviously doable because we're doing it in our country. So why are they funding that in Brazil? Why are they funding £1 billion into oil refineries in Middle Eastern countries that equates to 1.4 million tons of CO2? Why are they investing into power stations in Iraq? That's £760 million, and again 7 million tons of CO2 waste. And then there's Ghana, there's India, there's many more places that they're investing into non-renewable fossil fuels and whatnot. And I think that the estimate, according to the source, which was, so it's a source that used their own website, so the UK Export Finance website, they looked at every bit of energy production that they're investing in, or any bit of oil and gas refineries and whatnot that they're investing in, and that equates to a total of 69 million tons of CO2 being produced, and that equates to roughly the total production of CO2 by Portugal per year. So they're funding, the production of that much CO2 per year, and they're quite open about it because you can get all of this information off their website. So it's quite the contradictory, basically there's so much contradiction in politics, and this just demonstrates it.
Yeah, no matter how much the UK wants us to think that they're amazing, what did they say? They're the leader in...
Yeah, apparently they're the leader in the, what's the collective group? Not the United Nations, there's the other one.
The world.
No. No, there's I can't remember what it's called, but there's a collective group of nations, and they were saying like, oh yeah, we're leading it in that, but then they're funding 69 million tons worth of CO2 production.
Exactly.
So it's wrong. There's no two ways around it. It's wrong.
Yeah. We're going to talk about what we've done to reduce our plastic consumption now. I'll go first. Around 2 or 3 years ago now, I bought some metal straws. I bought a safety razor with 1,000 blades, and I bought a menstrual cup, and I have reusable chopsticks, and I bought a pouch of cutlery for when I go out, and I use reusable mesh bags for loose vegetables and reusable water bottle. And the thing is, though, when you start this, you don't need to just purge and buy everything that you need. Use up what you have, which is, once I calmed down on my little spending spree, I did use up everything I have and then slowly change. But that doesn't mean that I didn't work in a place where plastic was constantly used. It's a cinema. It's about hygiene and food safety and all of that. So I definitely I stuck to it in my personal life, but I didn't at work, and I don't recommend that. If you're passionate about the environment and you feel like something's happening at work, definitely try and change it. There was times I tried to change it, but there was no two ways about it to do so. So you can reduce yours by something as simple as learning to say no to unnecessary plastic. So say no to straws of your cocktail, even if they're even if they're paper. How much do you really need that straw? Are you a baby? On delivery or any any place who you ordered from offers plastic cutlery, say no.
Yeah,
You're eating at home.
When I was tidying stuff up in the common, like litter and stuff, one of the things that I found quite often was kebab branches packaging, and it was one that goes around napkins.
Yeah.
So plastic packaging around paper napkins.
The thing is, though, those napkins aren't even that much paper.
Yeah,
know?
True. But it's just, why is that's not needed, is it?
I do also want to reiterate that napkins aren't recyclable. Because there's food waste on them. But no, you don't need it. And you don't, and it's meant to be sterile conditions, but
you could put a cardboard.
Exactly.
Or, well, you know the sort of card papery packaging that they do.
Yeah,
they could do that
exactly.
quite easily.
Yeah. And another really small thing that you can do to reduce is to keep the jars that you buy things in.
Yeah.
I've actually noticed that when I take lunch somewhere and it's like leftovers, glass jars don't smell. And I don't have to be conscious about everyone looking at me.
My mum has started doing that because I actually taught my mum to make jam a couple of years ago.
Oh, lovely.
And then since then, she's never bought another pot of jam because she just washed them and then remade more jam.
Yeah, exactly. So Pat, how have you reduced your plastic
So obviously,
consumption?
like I was just saying, I started tidying up. So I've always done that. Like when I walk, so I go to university in a different city to where I live. So I'll walk to the train station, and almost every single day I'll pick up bottles on the way to the train station, and then I'll pick up bottles walking through the park on the way to my lecture. Almost every single day, and crisp packets. The biggest offender is McDonald's. McDonald's is disgusting. There is stuff everywhere constantly.
I'm actually going to include a petition in which they're asking for McDonald's to start printing license plate numbers on drive-through bags to see who's dumping it in their car parks and just around the world, really.
That's a really good idea, actually. I've never even considered that. And then I've also done, similar things to you. I found out about this and started purging every single reusable thing I could find. But a really, really good supplier for this stuff is a website called Groom. So it's GRUUM. They do like shampoo bars, conditioner bars, that only comes in a little bit of paper. And they also do, so they have razors, and it's like a subscription service. So you buy the razor, and every 3 months they send you like 4 razors or something. And once you've collected 16 razors, you tell them, I've got 16 used razors here. They'll send you a box. You put them in the box, send them back, and they'll recycle it into, I think they recycle the plastic into a new handle.
Okay.
And they also do metal handles, so I think they recycle the blades into a new handle.
That's amazing.
I can't quite remember exactly what they do with it, but obviously they recycle it.
Yeah.
So that's a really good place.
It's like it's Lush. They have I think it's starch, actual packaging that they can then melt down and create new packaging from. It's called not virgin packaging.
But I've seen quite a few sort of developing countries. They have developed different packaging made out of plants and stuff.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know why we don't just incorporate that in our country. It's
Aldi has actually started offering compostable bags. That's the only bags they offer for carrier bags, apart from their bags for life,
And just, why hasn't this stuff already happened? Because it's not a difficult change. And
so we want to talk about some simple swaps that you can implement today. Number one, like I already mentioned, lunchboxes. Glass jars are perfect. It's after jam, it's after pickles, curry paste. A lot of things come in jars, that you can then reuse. Plastic straws, you can change them and start using the paper ones provided by companies that you go to.
Yeah, so if you do work somewhere, encourage them to get paper.
Yeah, definitely. Or you can buy metal, bamboo, or glass ones, and they come with cleaners. It's perfect. They come with little pouches. You can take it everywhere.
Foldable ones as well,
exactly.
don't you? Stuff that you can put on your keychain.
Yeah. I do want to say, however, like I said, that I did do a purge, but just because I purged with all those items doesn't mean that I was zero waste or eco-friendly, because where I didn't buy it from a good company, in terms of, I bought it from a company that values environmental change and wants to get rid of as much plastic and packaging that's unnecessary, I ended up with so much plastic that the actual items came in. It was ridiculous. Carry on. Shopping bags. So you can use a reusable cloth bag, a bag for life. You know, I don't know what they have in America. But yeah, bags for life over here are in every single shop. And they cost so much, like little more than a plastic bag. I mean, at Lidl, my boyfriend and I got this bag that's actually insulated inside, so we can carry frozen things,
like the freezer bags.
And that's reusable, and it's huge. You know, we use it for everything. And then last one from me that I want to say is takeaway cups. I was using the Keep cup for the past 3 years, and last year when I started university, my uni actually gave us one each if we wanted to, a cup from chewed up gum. So they've partnered with a company. My uni, I'm really lucky to have a very eco-friendly uni.
Did it taste minty?
No, it didn't actually. So we have little tiny bins that are stuck to poles around our uni.
I've seen them, the pink ones. They're really good. And they have them in Legoland, I think, and they use it for Lego.
For this company, and basically anyone, obviously on student campuses, you have a lot of people chewing gum. So we have those bins everywhere, and our uni's partnered with this company that takes that gum, obviously sterilizes everything, but uses that to make cups, and that cup is perfect. To me, it's the best cup I've ever used. You know, and maybe your uni does that as well. I know my boyfriend's uni, although not from like recycled materials from themselves, they do give you cups as well. You know, any reusable cup works.
Yeah.
You know, those bottles everyone has, they're like, you know, the what are they called? Chili's. Yeah, Chili's water bottles.
The ones that like keep stuff cold for a long time.
For 24 hours, hot for 12.
Yeah.
And you can literally give that, you know? Give that to your barista, and most of the time you get a discount when you use your own
at
stuff.
my uni actually, I always use my own coffee cup, and they always, I think it's like 20p off. But, you know, that kind of thing does add up.
And if you're worried about taking space, get a collapsible one, which that's still a thing as well.
There's so many reasons. Like, there's so many arguments against the arguments against. I think that makes sense.
It's that whole like double negative that we mentioned before. And it's such a simple swap that you don't even have to spend money on. Take a thermos that everyone has at home.
Something I didn't know about until recently is I think out of the top 5 tea brands in England, I think it's 3 out of 5 or 2 out of 5. Their tea bags contain plastic. I never even considered the fact that tea bags could contain plastic.
Yeah, exactly. And simple swap for that, get loose tea leaves.
And even just Google which ones have plastic and which ones don't, because quite a lot of them are biodegradable ones, so you can chuck it in your garden.
That is also debatable, because actually there's a compost heap where I was isolating, and we put our stuff in there, and those compostable bags don't compost. Not for at least a year. So be wary, please research what you're doing, but like Patrick said, most of them are.
That don't have plastic in.
Yeah. And the thing is, with loose tea leaves, you get a silicone holder or a metal one that you can buy from a charity shop, you know? Reduce, reuse, recycle.
And it tastes better loose.
And it tastes better, exactly. And you can make it yourself.
And you can make it yourself. You can get much better flavours.
Exactly.
So
I wanted to, last thing actually to mention is hairbrushes. Hairbrushes make up a lot of the pollution. And get one that you know will last if you don't get like a bamboo one. You know, bamboo ones are perfect, but don't just get a bamboo one because you're now changing into zero waste or low waste. Get ones that will last.
Another thing, of course, is toothbrushes. So you see a lot of plastic toothbrushes in landfill photos and stuff like that. So there's an obvious bamboo toothbrushes that you can get, so obviously you can just sometimes you can put them on compost, can't you?
Yeah.
But you can, you know, if you have a fire to heat your house, you can burn it. So if you're bonfire night, save me a bamboo toothbrushes. Bonfire night.
You have to take the nylon out though, out of them, but that is recyclable. You can just put it straight in your recycling bin. And recyclable toothbrushes.
Yeah, so for electric toothbrushes, obviously they're quite good because they're reusable, but you need to swap the heads out. And at Holland & Barrett, you can get live cocoa charcoal heads for the toothbrushes, and obviously once they're done, you can send them back and they're recycled. They're only $9.99. Whereas if you were going to get it straight from Oral B, it would be what, $19.99 or $18.99. So that's, extra £10 for not anything better really.
That won't help the environment.
It doesn't make any difference.
And then the last two things really, is coffee. Coffee, if you get it from like one of those coffee machines, they actually come in plastic pots. Get your own.
Or like instant coffee and stuff.
Yeah,
obviously.
exactly. Get your own coffee beans, grind them up, or buy coffee that's just pure coffee that's just been ground up.
Well, you can get ground coffee that comes in metal tins.
And use a French press.
Yeah, French presses, and they make the nicest coffee as
well.
Exactly.
And then the last thing is tea towels, which is I think the simplest. And what we've been talking about, how you have people that you've spoken to that I just binned back with those clothes. I didn't want them. Yeah. They didn't sell them. What can you do with them? Donate them to charity shops. But cut them up and use them as tea towels. Yeah. That is perfect.
A really important thing is, I think we will probably have to do a whole separate episode on fast fashion, because the thing is,
yes,
I don't really know anything about fast fashion. I love fashion itself, like, dressing up, blah, blah, blah. But I just don't know anything about fast fashion stuff, because personally, the clothes that I buy, I still have clothes that I got in like year 10.
Yeah, I haven't bought clothes in the last 3 years.
I do buy clothes, but if I buy them, I keep them for a long time. And if I don't keep them, I give them to my cousins, my nephew.
I have repurposed for the past 5 years, I've found some of it.
Unless something has literally fallen apart, I've never thrown away clothing.
No.
Or so if, say it's an old top that's been ripped or something, I give it to my mum and dad or my grandparents for when they're gardening, that kind of thing. And it's just things that I thought that was normal, because that's something my family's always done. But it's such a shame that there's people that will throw away bin bags of clothes, because it's such, clothing is such an important thing to some people, and it's such a almost privilege to have nice looking clothing, and people will just throw that away.
Yeah. So what can you do to help? Be mindful in that when you're getting things or buying things, don't just use it once. Reuse things as much as you can. Repurpose them. Say no, and know when to say no when something that you're buying is unnecessary, or something that you're getting is unnecessary. When you're faced with wanting to buy something new, think to yourself, do I really need the object? Can I make it myself? Can you get it in a way that there will only be recycling from it and not mounds of plastic, And that's not to say, and that's not to shame anyone. I know that a lot of people can't use metal straws because of disabilities, and they have to use plastic straws.
It's not like, don't just stop buying like a Buxton water bottle from Tesco's or something. But if you do
use that bottle,
if you do buy it, use it 4 or 5 times and put it in the recycling
literally
bin.
falls apart. And buy from eco-friendly brands.
Yeah, exactly. Just because obviously you shouldn't have. The problem is that to do all this stuff, you need to sort of put more effort in than you should. And I think there should be laws in place that make it, people have to disclose whether it's recyclable, whether they're an eco-friendly brand, whether they're sustainably sourced, whatever. It should be a law that they have to disclose that. It's very strange to me that it isn't.
Yeah. So there's some petitions for you to sign. There is the please let's lead the UK to a healthier and greener future. There is the call to fast food outlets to print registration plates onto food bags to know who littered and hold them accountable. And sustainable supermarket packaging, in which we want there to be the possibility to bring your own packaging and actually be able to buy it, which is such a big thing in America that people can take advantage of and buy in bulk, but we don't have over here.
When I was about 14, I made a petition to stop people throwing cigarette butts out. I don't really know how I planned on doing that or anything, but don't bother go signing that one, please, because it was completely idiotic and had no thought behind it. Although these good ones, please do go sign. And one thing I'd like to mention in regards to environment before we go is I still have this little picture that I made as a kid. And it was from year 1 or year 2. So how many years ago was that? 14 years ago? Something like that. So 14 years ago, I made this little picture, and it said, please recycle and save these animals. And there's like a picture of a funny looking dolphin that could have been like a dog, and it was very poorly done. But I found it the other day, and it sort of hit me in the face. Because I remembered being a child and being very, very scared when I learnt about climate change, because it's the thought of our world sort of falling apart, isn't it? It's the first real idea of things going wrong that I had as a child. And what really confused me as a child as well is it's such a simple thing to fix. And I could see that, so 14 years ago, 13 years ago, how old have I been? About 5 or 6, I could see that there's such simple fixes to it, and it's just got worse. And it's bizarre. It's really, really worrying that there's not enough being done about this. If you're not scared, because, lots of people are angry and lots of people are upset, but if you are not scared because of the situation, then there is a problem. You need to look into it more, because it is a scary fucking situation.
Right, join us next week for an episode on mental health.
Yep, just discussing what goes on, my experiences. I don't know if you'll talk about your experiences.
I will, yeah.
Yeah, lots of different things. I've had suicide in my family. I think drug addiction is a part of mental health that isn't spoken about enough, because quite often people will use drugs out of depression. If you imagine, these drugs give you an insane sense of euphoria. If you have been depressed for not even the majority of your life, if you've been depressed for a year, for a couple months, and then you do a drug that gives you this either sense of relief like heroin does, where you just feel relaxed, or this sense of euphoria and excitement like things, cocaine and crack and whatever, it's understandable why people get so hooked on it, and it shouldn't be, drug addicts are sort of viewed as less, but it should be that they've got a problem. And I think that plays into it personally.
Definitely. Okay. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening, and see you next time.